up a dive. Feel the vibe, get ready to ignite. Untold stories in the airways, flying through the night. Experience voices, tales so bold. Streaming live, the truth unfolds. Untold Radio Network, where secrets come alive. New episodes daily, the mysteries thrive. Great guests, super chat, so I remember I share and subscribe. Join the side where truth can't hide. Aliens in the attic, UFOs in the sky. Cryptids lurking, oh my, ghosts in the hallway whispering your name. The paranormal, the unexplained. Become a VIP, get the inside scoop. Unlock the mysteries, be part of the group. Live streaming stories are talking to you. Super chats buzzing, join the crew. Untold Radio Network, the secrets come alive. New episodes daily, the mysteries thrive. Great guests, super chat, it's a wild member ride. Share and subscribe, join the side where truth can hide. So if you've got the guts and you want to explore, tune into the untold, it's what you're looking for. From aliens to ghosts to all that's unseen. Untold Radio Network, where the world's mysteries convene.
Good morning, monsters, and welcome to Monsters on the Edge. I am your host, Barnaby Jones. Today, we are pre-recorded on the Untold Radio Network. That's right, guys. So just off the bat, if you are making comments or leaving questions in this section, please be advised we are not ignoring them. We are not that rude. I'm just not in the studio today. We are pre-recorded. So just want to make sure you guys know that off the bat. But that does not mean that we do not appreciate all of our fans and our Super Chats members out there and all of you that support the network. And if you don't already support the network, you should. Here's how.
Hey, Untold Radio Network fans. Want exclusive perks and to support our channel? Introducing our YouTube membership program with 3 amazing levels. Get loyalty badges that level up to different cryptids the longer you're a supporter. How cool is that? You'll also get access to custom Bigfoot emojis and priority in chat. Upgrade to Backstage Pass for exclusive wallpapers, photos, status updates, discounted books, and merchandise. Go all in with the producer level for everything mentioned plus member shoutouts. Ready for an enhanced experience? Join now, pick your membership level, and let's make this journey even more exciting together.
Awesome. And I just found out from one of our Super Chats members and stuff today that they just sent out some stickers. So like bumper stickers. I don't know. I mean, this is pre-recorded, so maybe you already know about this, but some people are getting some bumper stickers in the mail. So that's awesome, guys. Really cool stickers and stuff that you can check out. We have an awesome guest here today. I'm super excited to get into this one. As you guys know, or maybe haven't noticed, I'm trying to find Bigfooters from all across the United States and beyond. So I'm trying to hit every state. So today we are going up to New England to Massachusetts with my guest. That's right, guys. Today, my guest, Dave, was born in 1965 in Lowell, Massachusetts, where he still resides. As a young child, the television show In Search Of with Leonard Nemoy sparked his interest in cryptozoology. After a long-time interest and reading information on the internet in the 1990s, and his eyes were opened to the fact that it wasn't just the West Coast phenomenon. The book Monsters of the North Woods by Paul Bartholomew really hit home, and he realized that New York and New England has had a long history amongst the native people and early explorers involving the Sasquatch in the Northeast. In 2005, Dave went from being an avid reader to someone who wanted to be more hands-on, so he attended a BFRO expedition in Whitehall, New York. After talking to several local witnesses, one being a police officer, about their experiences, he was completely hooked. This started his love of the outdoors, having never experienced hiking and camping growing up in the city environment. I had to scroll up here. As an adult, Dave was able to travel the East Coast, where he started investigating the sightings and reports in his area. After the BFRO expedition, he joined the NESRA research group and attended several expeditions with them in several years. One of them being part of the group that used to be that was used in the Monster Quest episode Bigfoot New York. In 2008, Dave attended one of his first expeditions that included several different research groups of the East Coast and Virginia. These groups investigated continuously for 2 weeks straight. Since then, he has been to the West Coast multiple times. Dave has made great friends in the time in California and Washington, as well as many more across the country. And there's a lot more here, guys. Dave is awesome. I can't wait here. We are going to get to him. So please welcome to the show, Dave McCullough. Hello.
Hello. Thank you for having me.
The pleasure is mine, man. So before we get started, there's one thing in your bio I have to talk about because I want to see how good I am. It says you joined the NESRA. And there's no explanation as to what. Hang on. I gotta see if I can guess.
Yeah.
I would say it's the New England Sasquatch Research Association.
Actually, it's the Northeast. You're very close.
There was no context there. I'm like, well, it's got to be Bigfoot, and the ironic thing is I was stuck on the S, and I'm like, what does S stand?
Right.
Of all things, that was the one that I was having problems with.
Yeah, with your you're very close though.
Yeah.
Because it was got people from New York, Connecticut, Mass, Rhode Island, so it was the Northeast.
Northeast Sasquatch Research Association?
Yep.
Awesome. I didn't Google it. I didn't look. Obviously, I got it wrong,
Pretty close.
Pretty close, man. All right, man. You've how long have you been doing this? Since 2005, if I just read it.
20th year.
What's that?
This is my 20th year.
20th year. Wow.
Yep. My 2004 was I went on the BFRO expedition. That was my first involvement of going out in the field, learning about it.
Very cool. So I know that we'll get to that in a second, but you were on Tim and Dana's show a little while ago, and you had mentioned at that time that you had not seen one of these creatures yet. You were going on a bunch of expeditions over the summer, and you were hoping to see one. So I know everyone out there that's listening, the first question they want me to ask is, have you gotten to see one yet?
Not yet.
Oh man, I'm pulling for you.
No, thanks. Me too. Yeah, I do. There's some long-time researchers that have never seen it.
Mm-hmm.
Peter Byrne, one of the most famous, probably for years. He's had a lot of close-up, but some people see it by accident that aren't into it, not looking for it, and other people you look, and they're just on the fringe. They're just out of reach. Like you'll hear the sounds. That's what I call just out of reach.
I tell you,
away, but then it's thought too that when there is a sighting, they're letting you see them for a reason, but which is unknown. But I don't think it's an accident. I think if they want to stay hidden, they could stay hidden, and they choose to run across the road when a car's coming. That totally don't make sense to me, because they could just stand there and let the car go by. And that's what I've heard from a lot of people. Sightings aren't by accident.
I think all the people that, say like, like you want to see one so bad. And then a lot of the times the witnesses that have seen one, that are not researchers and just see them by accident, especially when they're out walking, on trails and stuff, they say that it's life-changing and that they wish they hadn't seen it. So, I mean,
Right.
maybe me and you are barking up the wrong tree here. Maybe it's not something we want to run into once we see it. So,
Right. Well, I have faith I'm going to, because a lot of researchers I've met over the years were total skeptics, former skeptics, however you want to, and then bang, it's right there, right in front of you, and you're hooked. I'm hoping to get that. I've had a couple tantalizing, only not good in 20 years, two pretty good vocalizations, and two branches snapping at pretty close range. One of them like a small tree crashed to the ground, so that close, but just out of sight.
Oh man, no, I feel for you. I have I've had the branch cracks, a huge branch ripped down from across the marsh from where we were. I've gotten the whistles. I think I've recorded the samurai chatter, and whoops and howls. And I have managed to get them, I believe, twice where I've watched them through thermal imager. And I believe that you've seen them, or you believe that you've seen them through thermal as well. Is that right?
Yeah, I wish it was more detailed, but it was definitely heat signature. Then it was smaller, though. I'm wondering if I saw a smaller one, but I'm hoping to have that clear. I broad daylight, just to put it to rest. Like, there it is, you know.
Yeah, same. Absolutely. I know that I've been around them. I have one research area we went, me and my partner were out there and literally felt the ground shake as one walked by.
Wow.
And it was the most intense thing ever. Like, and it was probably 50 feet away, and you could have like just crossed through this little brush area and seen it. And I just was frozen there. So,
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know, but awesome. Very good stuff, man. So you've recorded audio and stuff like that. So I guess my main thing is like I said in the beginning, like I like to try and get different researchers from across the United States. I'm trying to do every state. So I like to hear different things about like where you're researching in your area. What are some common things that you're finding? Like patterns of behavior. Is there certain times of year that you're seeing more evidence, certain times that they're not? Are you able to establish like a migration route? Where are they moving in one area, or are they seen like different areas, different parts of the year, following food sources? Or what behavioral patterns have you been able to establish out there?
Not many. We have figured out that late summer and fall seems to be more active. If you look at past reports that are, made to the BFRO, or what research groups there are in this area, that it seems to be seasonal and more active. Although there are sightings in the winter, not as many, but I don't think they migrate or leave. I think they just go with the seasons and not stay in the exact spot, but maybe different sections of the forest between, like in Massachusetts, most of the hills and mountains are out western Mass, the Berkshires, whereas as you cross the state and get to the east side, it's low-lying marshland right down on the coast, a lot of swamps. So there's
Uh-oh, we lost him. Hold on. We'll be right back. Perfect. All right, we are back recording. Oh, sorry about that. We are back here and pop back in, so we're all good to go. So you're talking about seeing them in like the marsh areas.
Yeah, like from the east side of the state to the west, it's totally different. It starts off at the ocean, goes across, it gets up into the farms and rolling hills right around the middle, but out in the west is where most of the mountains are, the only real elevation in Mass. And more activity out there, I would say, and going back in history, since the 60s, I believe, a lot of stuff from the 60s, and even older when they were developing the top of the highest point, Mount Greylock. A lot of old journals from the people that worked on it of sightings. Hairy man, wild man. They didn't know what to call it back then.
Mhm.
But yeah, I don't think they move around as much as migration, north to south and nothing like that. But there's still a lot of winter activity. People finding footprints in the snow, even up north, northern Maine, Vermont. I know some people that have seen them up there. Canada's really big with Sasquatch also. So I'm not as big on the migrating thing. I think they can utilize caves and cliffs, and they could put a pile of brush together really quick, and
Mhm.
it's in these areas where people just don't go. And I think when you get too close, that's when you get the wood knocks, and I think they're warning each other. Okay, there's people around. It seems to be around in our experiences, as far as you can get the car and get out. Sometimes we hear a knock right when we get out of the car. So it's just my thought. They might kind of patrol, put a couple of them out where people access the woods, where the trailheads are, and stuff like that. But I don't think they're as far out as I used to think. And
Mhm.
20 years, my thoughts on this have changed many times, going back and forth, weighing things out. And I'm no closer to putting my hand on what it is, but I have a lot of thoughts about it. But when I started, like I said, 20 years ago, I thought in the first 2 or 3 years, like, oh, this will be any year now. This will be. I got right in time. I'll be in on the big discovery and the disclosure or something, and we're no closer. We've gotten some pretty good videos, tons of audio, tons of all different signs of it, and that's what's the most baffling to me is you can get unclassified droppings, unclassified here, unclassified this and that, and hundreds of thousands of people seeing this thing all around the country, all around the world, pretty much. It seems to happen. Um, that's why I think, as it goes on, that the mystery gets more complicated. Like, with all our technology and all the people looking now, every time you look, there's more research groups. It's more mainstream now. There's drones. There's, Google Earth. There's so much technology now it's just that out of reach. It's baffling to me now, like
Mhm.
even more. So I thought early on, like, oh, this will be discovered no time with everyone looking at all the technology, and it's doesn't help.
So when you started 20 years ago, I know you said your thoughts on this whole thing have changed over the time and that. So when you started, do you think that these things were the flesh and blood creatures, and now how has that changed?
Yeah, I think more the ape theory.
Mhm.
The undiscovered apes are unclassified. Um, a different branch of the tree of apes, and I'm not so sure about that now because every other one has been found or fossil or put in a box, put in a zoo. We've had them. Bang! Here it is. It's one thing that cannot be classified. It's I don't know. It's just I rack my brains even more as the time goes on. That like, why can't this thing be brought down? And I'm totally against shooting one or killing one, but you would think by now one would get hit by a truck or.
Mhm.
I've heard stories about the wildfires in California that they were pulling bodies out of there. Some were dead, some were still alive. They were helping them, and they just won't tell people about it. Just you're not supposed to know for some reason. And I thought by now there'd be something. Someone drag one in, and a group of hunters threatened this thing, charged, and they all unload on it. Like I thought for sure by now something will be. This thing's going to be put up on a table and studied. This is what it is. The mystery's over. They're real. Deal with it. I don't think they think people can deal with it.
Yeah. So you think that given that principle there, if we're not being told this, if this thing was just a species of great ape, like a gorilla or orangutan, and just another branch of that tree similar there's really no reason why the government wouldn't just come out and say, oh yeah, they exist. It's just this great ape out in the woods, just be careful. It's like another cougar or a wolf out there, right? It's
Right.
dangerous. Keep your distance, and that it's not going to bother you. Obviously, we know it doesn't bother us because all the hundreds of thousands of researchers and casual scientists and amateurs and stuff out there looking for it would have stumbled across it a lot more. But do you think that then there is this kind of weirder aspect that if the government does know about them, that's why we're not knowing that?
I do. I think that's why I'm leaning more recently towards their people. They're just a different race of people that are giants from the Bible, or something that they say that had turned religion upside down of people, but yet they're in the Bible, or similar giants or something. And I think it has a lot to do with industry, a lot with money. That's a lot of these regions where people make their living, they're logging, wood mills. Why is it that? And I think too, I think they know they're a type of people that they're not going to rip people's heads off and kill people. So, like, you know what? Don't you think that people should have the right, though, to, hey, before you go out in the woods 3 miles and put your tent up, you should probably know, in recreation, there's another industry. There's camping and recreation all over the country. In fact, New England especially, a lot of tourists, you think they'd warn everywhere in the country, hey, these things are out there. Some states kind of, Washington kind of acknowledges them. There's certain parts of the state that they acknowledge it and kind of put warning signs up to people just to what to do and what not to do. Don't panic, don't charge it, don't. So they're kind of acknowledging it, but not. I think the aspect of it being a person is the big reason that they don't. Because if it was just another ape or chimp, like you said, they would say, they're not going to bother you. They're not going to. If they were violent, I think they'd have to. But I've also read a couple good articles too about a lot of places where they are bought out and gated off with no access to, when they might be overrun with them, or they know, all right, they got this mountain or whatever. And but some people up in the Northwest have reported that a lot of places now that they've been going to for years, all of a sudden they can't go to, no access, and why? If they closed areas for a spotted owl or something rare, which they have, what would they do if these things are all over the country and they find out it's a former human, former person?
I definitely don't want to be disrespectful in any way, but I'm kind of racking my brain trying to how to say this. But when the white man came to the America and took all the native people and stuck them on reservations and said, this is your land. I mean, doesn't that kind of sound just like what you're talking about? We're buying up this land, just hypothetically, let's say we're buying this land, the government, and saying, okay, you can't go in there anymore because now maybe these other people are living there.
Right.
It definitely fits the bill of what the government and what America has done in the past with other people. And those are a people. Those are people that we consider other humans, and we stuck them on little reservations and, told them they can't come out and play. Well, now we're doing the same thing to these things,
Right.
It's definitely coincidental there. I don't know.
There's I've read some good reports. Actually, there was a call in, and these guys were former military that said they were actually areas in the West Coast where they were having to go in with black helicopters, and these teams of military don't know what they're hunting, but they just tell them it's a nuisance animals running loose in this area. And when you see a target, shoot it. They knew what it was, but once it's down and done, they get them out of there and haul them off. And who knows? I don't know if there's truth to it. It could be just a story, but a lot of ex-military, they've even seen them in service over in Afghanistan, different kinds of them. But a lot of ex-military reports I've seen or read or heard testimony from them that it was the scariest they've ever been in their life, and they've been in combat. And it goes back to Vietnam also. A lot of teams in Vietnam reported the same thing. Though they called them apes, but
the rock apes.
I think they've known all along about not just Bigfoot, but a lot of things. But I think it's just one of those things. Keep a lid on it. It's if you want your job, don't talk about it. It's career suicide to get behind it. That's why the few notable or academically certified people that get behind it is very rare, because they're putting their career on the line. Once you associate yourself with it, it's you can count them on two hands how many in how many years, decades, that are willing to get behind it and support it. Either they've had a sighting, or they know someone that has. They know something about it.
Yeah, I don't know how much you follow the UFO community and stuff like that. I know that you said that you had a sighting as well. We can talk about that in a little bit here, but all the disclosure and stuff, and the stuff that's happening with Congress and the congressional hearings and David Grush and all that's going on right now in the UFO topics and UAPs. I've always wanted to know that, when you're looking through these documents and you search, I want Freedom of Information Act on UFOs, and you get nothing, or UAPs and you get nothing. That's because they're classified under a different name. And there's been certain people that have released that and said, well, you need to search, aerial phenomenon or what have you. I want to know what the word or phrase is that the government has classified as Bigfoot.
Right.
And then get a Freedom of Information Act on all of that information and see what you could get. Because I know there is some Bigfoot stuff. There's I can't remember the guy who sent it in. Was it Grover Krantz? I can't remember, that sent the hair sample into the government and actually got back a document from them. Do you know? I have it somewhere in my folder over here, but there's a release of Freedom of Information Act that shows this, that the government analyzed it and everything. But I don't know. There's got to be something you would think out there.
Yeah, the sample probably disappeared. Well, they said it was a bear or moose.
I think it came back unknown or something, if I remember right. But yeah, that was it.
One of the I seen a good article. I think it was in the 70s. The Army Corps of Engineers actually had it in their catalog of Washington State, just so they're aware of. Okay, yeah, it's in the book. Yeah, there must be. I'm not crazy, Nope. And it's just baffling, the whole thing. I think a lot of people have gotten away from their love of the outdoors. I've talked to people personally that I'm all done camping. I'm all done going in the woods. I wasn't looking for this, but then
we'll be right back.
Show your support for the Untold Radio Network family of shows and join in on the conversation by using super stickers and super chats on YouTube. Got a question you want answered? Ask it live via a super chat and get real-time responses from our show's knowledgeable hosts and guests. Help keep the Untold Radio Network shows running strong. We need your support. Send your super chats and stickers now.
All right, perfect. We are back. we seem to drop out about every 15 minutes, we've decided. So in about 15 minutes from now, just be aware that we're probably going to take another commercial break.
Right.
But at least now we know this.
Missing time.
Missing time. That's right. This episode has a lot of missing time. So, all right. So we were kind of segueing here. We were talking about land that was being bought up and used for these different things, possibly. I know that you've talked about an area, the reservoir near where you research in that you said closes at dusk and they kick everyone out, right?
Yep.
So is there a possibility? Is this like one of those? Well, let me ask you this. Why do they say people are getting kicked out at dusk?
I think it's the largest water supply in Mass, and it supplies pretty much the eastern part of the state, Boston, and a lot of those towns. So I think a lot to do with access to the water. They're really strict on even fishing and anything about no outside boats or equipment. You got to use theirs. Got to be inspected. So it is a lot about the water, and especially after the terrorists. That's back in 9/11. But for the following handful of years there was very strict. You couldn't even get down the roads to the water. They kept people up. They watched that pretty good. But even still now, like I said, you can't just bring a kayak from I actually tried a few years ago, and like right there they were like, nope, no outside. I could have been tainted it with something from New Hampshire in the water, or that's how strict they are about it though. But yeah, they definitely keep an eye on people, make sure by sundown everyone's out, and so it is, and it covers quite a lot of miles, so there's plenty of privacy for if you didn't want to be seen around there. A lot of towns, very low populations, just nothing but woods. So I think that.
Sorry, you said that there was a lot of activity that was going on there, as like these creatures possibly in there.
There was over the years, yeah. In the last couple of years, I really haven't heard any good reports, but I'm sure they're still around. I know a couple people that still poke around and have seen tree structures, some odd twists, but no sightings reported. Doesn't mean they haven't been seen, though, right? Because
absolutely, this means no one's talking about it.
Right. I investigated one in Southeast Mass, and the guy that reported it to the BFRO, I do some cases for them also. He said there was 2 other cars going the other way. They had to have seen it because one of them almost hit it, he said. And there's a group of people right there that didn't report it, didn't want nothing to do with it. He did. He was retired, an older guy, straight shooter, just wanted it known. He goes, I'm not trying to, just get my name out there. He goes, I want people to know about this around here, that these things are around. So he was a really good witness.
That's a kind of an interesting thought there that brought up, we talk about all the time, how when I go to conventions and stuff, I'm still surprised at how many people go, wow, there's Bigfoots now in Wisconsin. I thought he singular was
Right.
only out in the Pacific Northwest. How did he singular get to Wisconsin? And on that same note, I wonder how many people, like you said, like the guy that nearly hit it with his car just goes, oh man, there's a Bigfoot.
Yeah.
And how many people out there just already think that this is a species, already exists, and don't even pay it a mind, like it's just a deer crossing the road. They're like, ah, man, stupid Bigfoots, they're everywhere. I just keep hitting them.
Well, they probably told one person and they started laughing at them. and never told anyone again. Or they said, it was just a bear. You just saw a bear.
Mhm.
There's a really good one, I think from the 80s from Washington State, where this thing was out on the freeway, literally running amongst cars. And the guy's name is Terry Reams. I've seen him on quite a few programs, and he tells it just like it happened. This thing was looking in the window, running next to him, like cars going around it. First he come up around the bend, and he thought it was an accident. He goes, "Wow!" He could see all the brake lights going on, and as he got closer, they were all going around something in the middle of the road, and it was one of these things just cruising alongside the cars, and it was a pretty credible because a lot of reports came in. He called it in, and the operator said, "You're the 8th person in the last 5 minutes to call it in," and one of them was a cop. So that was a pretty good shot.
So is there a police report on this? Like, is there actual?
I think there is. It was on just outside of Portland. I'm trying to think of the main highway, right along the Columbia River. And I've seen his story on that show, Mysterious Encounters, I was telling you about. I've
Mhm.
seen him on Monster Quest. Very good witness. And he said, clear as day, all I could see was this face with these giant eyes looking in the window, running next to them. And he said the same thing. It bumped into as cars were slowing down, they were going slow enough that it literally bumped the trailer in front of him as they were going around it. But that's a really interesting one. I've seen that redone on many programs.
Wow. You said some people thought it was a bear, or was that where you're going with that?
No, earlier I was saying the
Oh.
guy that's seen it in Mass,
Okay.
how other people have seen it. He goes, they had to have seen it. It was a van full of people, and not there was no other reports from that site or that day. So there's people that just maybe told someone, you didn't see nothing, you just saw a bear.
Mm-hmm.
People like to. I've heard that a lot. And then when people say, well, bears don't run on two legs upright, you know.
Yep.
So I think people like to just dismiss it and shoot down people. And that's why a lot of people are scared to talk about it. They don't want to be crazy. It's not something you talk to your coworkers or your
Not something normal people talk to their coworkers about.
right. It's like, okay, talk to you later.
Yep.
But that's why a lot of people go to these conferences too and conventions, so they're around people that are not crazy,
Mm-hmm.
Like-minded people.
Yep. That's
They
very
want this.
Yeah, we interviewed one witness in the Rhinelander, Wisconsin area. We were investigating a series of howls coming from across this river, and there's a building there where they did like auto repairs and stuff. And these two Mexican gentlemen out there working on a car one night, and we stopped and we're like, "Hey, have you heard or seen anything weird?" No. There was this really big bear standing on its hind legs over the winter, though, on the other side of the river. We thought, wow, why are they out this time of year? We're like,
oh, there
okay,
you go.
Thanks, have a good day. You enjoy your bear story.
Right.
Oh, yeah. No, it was just a bear, though.
There's reminds me, funny you said that. There's you must have heard of Whitehall, New York.
Yep.
There was good friend of mine. He lives up there, and he said they got a report from two Asian guys that they just opened a Asian restaurant in Whitehall, and they were at the Polteny River where there's been sightings for decades, and they were telling them about we didn't know you had monkeys here in America while they were fishing, and he goes, yeah, they're tall. They were walking down just like a man. So there's guys that didn't even know what Bigfoot is, or totally ignorant to it in a way that they just didn't know anything about it. And here they are, like, hey, look at that. I didn't know there's monkeys over here, you know. And
And that goes back to my point. Like I said, I wonder how many people out there, are the complete opposite, that just go, yep, Bigfoot is real. I know they're real, and they're just an everyday thing, and don't even think nothing of it. Like, yeah, there's a monkey walking down the river. Yep. Okay.
right. They don't want the
Your
attention.
mind, Yeah.
I think there's a lot of that too around here up in New England, that they don't want the attention. They don't want groups coming in. They don't want the news up here. They're all stay out of our small town. There's nothing to it. I've been down south a lot. I got some cousins down there, and to them, they just kind of laugh like, of course they're out there. They're like, just leave them alone. They don't want nothing to do with you. Just leave it alone, Like, damn it, I just want to see it,
Where did you see those monkeys on the river?
Right. I want to fish, and
I don't want no trouble. I'm just just curious. Yeah.
right.
Oh man. Well, so we have a video here to play, and the lady in the video thinks that it might be a bear, like kind of as we were talking about, right? She's
Yep.
like, is that a bear up in the tree? So if you kind of want to give a little setup to this, and then we can play the video.
Sure. It's a friend of mine's daughter. It was 2 years ago up in New Hampshire. And she was just sitting out on her deck in the middle of the day. Nice day in the fall. It was actually Labor Day weekend. And she heard some branches popping outside, like her property where the trees start after her grass stops. So she wanted to send a video, something to her husband at work. And, what the heck is this? I want to take it on video to send it to him. And that's what happens. You can hear the branches popping, and you hear her natural reaction because there's a couple F-bombs in there. I don't want to warn your listeners. But after the branches popping, the dog, you can hear at the beginning of it that sets the dog off. So the dog knows there's something out there. And by her saying there's something, is that a bear up in the trees? So there's something up in the tree. You really don't see a whole lot, but every now and then there's a certain spot. If you're looking, this is after you know where to look after the tree's fallen. Then you watch it again a couple times. You can kind of see a space where the daylight gets blocked out by something. So something is moving around. And as she's talking, the branches, you can hear the branches in the background breaking. And it actually is not a tree that comes down. It's a section of tree. I thought it was a tree that come down because she sent it right to her mother after her husband, of course. And then she's like, Ma, look what happened. She sent it, called me the next day. She knows I'm into it. She's my hairdresser, and I've known her forever. What do you think about this? She sent it, and I went up like in a couple days, and you can see that it's not a tree. It's just a section of the tree that came off. And it was right where she described something in the tree, And before it comes down, like I said, once you know where to look and when, it might take you to watch it a few times to know. But once you know when it's coming down, you'll hear like a grunt before the crash that it's like it's something as if you were exerting or bench pressing, or it's definitely some kind of grunt. But yeah, the sound of it came out great. The video, she does turn the phone once, I think. I don't know if she's nervous or something, but the audio come out really good on it because it was only 40 yards from her deck, and this was just off her phone. But to me, it's very clear of what the sound is, and you can hear the branches popping pretty good too. Absolutely. So I was pretty excited when she sent that to me.
Very cool. All right, we're going to take a look at this, and I apologize because we tried to get the actual video up, and we technical issues today on the show. But so we are actually borrowing the video off of another show here on the Untold Radio Network because Dave was on the Bigfoot Influencers, episode number 61. And so we're literally going to play the clip off of their show to share you because we couldn't get it to send over today for our show. So here we go. This is, you can see their lovely background here. And here we go. I apologize because I think that's actually the growls, isn't it?
Right. Yeah, that's the second tape. That's a good one also, though.
It is. Well, why don't you tell the story about that one, and I'll queue up the correct video.
Sure, that one was last year down, they call it the Bridgewater Triangle. It's in southeast Mass, where it's primarily swampland and wetland. And this was sent to me, again, not my recording, but I was called into it the next day. A gentleman was woken at 3 a.m. By this sound he had his air conditioning on, all his windows down, and this thing woke him out of a sound sleep. And he held his phone out the door. And again, this has never been analyzed, or it is what it is. But I'm not saying it's a Bigfoot, but it's where there's been sightings. It's right in the Bridgewater Triangle, right in the middle of swamps. And my friend that got me involved in it went up there the next day and talked. They were talking to neighbors. Did you hear something last night? And they said no, but we found a deer's leg in the driveway. And that was pretty interesting too. And that was like a half mile away, his nearest neighbor. Wow. And he thought for sure someone else had to hear that. It woke him up like nothing. And but no one else reported sounds. But they did happen to find a deer's leg in their driveway, which pretty much where the sound came from.
Wow.
I sent that off to Scott Nelson. He's a pretty famous linguist, and he was pretty impressed with it. He said it shouldn't be in Massachusetts, whatever it is, and it's definitely a primate or uttering syllables, not just a one long drawn out scream or yell. It's different pitches, different tones, and that was pretty interesting. That was from last summer. Rochester, Mass.
Awesome. I think I have the right video now. There's actually trees in this video, so we should be on the right one.
Right.
All right, here we go.
I never get sick of this.
Here we go.
Layla, shh. What the fuck is happening? Your baby bear be up there?
And then it buffers. If I didn't know any better, I'd say we were on my other paranormal show because we have nothing but technical issues on that show. This one usually runs pretty good. Experiencing an interruption? Yeah, I am. Oh, I tell you.
See that whole tree?
There we go. All right.
Back tree too. whole fucking tree is moving. What is up there? Oh shit. The tree fell.
Wow. That is, I heard the audio. Like I said, I listened to that and stuff, and that's a big part of the tree that goes down.
Oh, it is. Yeah.
Wow.
And that, like I said, that was just a section of it. That was just a branch that came out of the side of it. It was an enormous tree.
Wow. That's insane.
And I hope you could hear the grunt. Sometimes, with headphones, it's unmistakable, but to the naked ear, you can even hear it pretty good.
Yeah, it's just like, ugh! And then the whole tree just comes down. Yeah.
Pretty intense. Whatever it is.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't think that bears make that kind of exertion grunt. I don't know. No.
And there's been bears there since they've been there. There's bears all over New Hampshire, and no one's ever seen that happen while they're sitting out in their backyard. Usually they see or hear a person, unless you've got food out or bird feeders. But generally, they don't knock down sections of trees.
You have any idea like why that happened? Like, was she baiting? Was there food outside? Is any reports of them in the area then or since, or was it just this one standalone incident?
Right. She's seen, like I said, she's seen bears. There's moose up there. There's but they pass through. She lives right along the power lines. She's never seen something that just stops in her yard. She's seen a lot of stuff pass through, but they've seen bear a lot, but never. They just walk through and they're gone. My opinion, when she says, could they be baby bears up there? There could have been a few small ones that she might have seen with the naked eye. She might have seen her like just black shadows, even just something in the tree. Like, why would she say, could that be baby bears, or what? Like, what's up there? It could be some juveniles having fun, and it was really like, I looked at it. It was a section like a V. So I'm wondering if there was one leaned against the thing and just pushed off with its feet up on one side.
Oh, he leans back. Oh, and the whole tree goes. There's Sasquatch laying on the ground afterwards as well.
I mean, these trees were, I barely get my hands around them and touch my fingers. That's how big they were.
The branch that came down was that big, or the tree itself? Wow.
The branch, the tree was enormous, but the branch itself was, like I said, it was. I barely got my arms around it to touch my fingers. It's got to be 2 or 3 feet, I'm guessing.
And you'd said that the trees were completely healthy.
Yeah.
Nice wood. Everything was good on them. Not like it was rotted and fell.
I was up within a couple days. I got all the pictures. Nice white wood in the middle. They were fine. No dead tree. So I just rule out other stuff. That Scott Nelson said it too. He goes, there's nothing around there that can do that. Moose. I mean, the biggest animals aren't tree climbers. A moose.
Yeah.
New England is, a big bull moose is probably the biggest animal around here, and I don't think they climb trees and push over branches. And I wasn't there. I didn't see. No one. But it's doubtful it's a bear. It could be, absolutely could be. But I'd love to have the grunt analyzed. And I think at the beginning there's one like a huffing as it's breaking branches. That's where I really like to get it analyzed professionally and see what the vocal range is. And I think they can tell just by the sound of it now on spectrogram. But that was very interesting.
Now you have black bears up there. Do you have any grizzly bears or any other larger bear species?
Just black bear.
And I cannot see a bear that size even having enough strength to do that.
Right, right.
Yeah.
I mean, cubs are going to climb trees. Bears climb trees also, but for a bear the size it would have taken to take that down, probably would be too big to climb the tree. But I could be wrong. Who knows? But I think you'd see more of that around New Hampshire and New England. There's bear all over New England, and never taken a report like that, or no one's ever had a section of tree pushed down in their backyard. So
I wonder how many people just write that kind of stuff off, like wind damage or storm damage or something, and just don't even think nothing of it.
right.
Were you? This is way probably beyond the point to go back and do anything. But did you happen to look at all for like any hair samples or anything?
I did look around for hair, no hairs or nothing, but I walked around all around the woods around there and out to the power lines, up and down a little bit, and a lot of really interesting tree formations, tree structures, bends. There was a couple sapling size, but they were woven in between trees where I could just pull them and they'd stand up. That's how they weren't broken, but they were just bent, tied down with another one. You pull on this and they all spring back up to, and they don't do that. They're like young couple with a newborn baby. They hardly even go in the woods or do any of it's doubtful they even knew what, anything about that. And it's like I said, it's 50 yards out of their property, and you're in the power lines, and just a patch of woods, and then there's their house. It's very tiny, and it's a farming community where their nearest neighbor is probably a quarter of a mile away. You can see the house, but it's just all woods, farms, power lines. There's a couple ponds and lakes up there, so it could be something passing through.
You hear a lot of them following like the power line cuts and stuff.
Right. I've heard that a lot.
I wonder, like I've heard like researchers talk about putting trail cameras along like rivers and stuff, right? Because it masks the sound of the trail camera if they can hear these things, right? And the smell and stuff. There's so much stuff in the area. I wonder if putting a trail camera along a power line cut, if the sound of the power lines themselves would drown out the sound of whatever the trail camera makes.
Right. Yeah. That's a good question. There's so many game cameras out there now, and there's really not a whole lot to show Sasquatch wise. There are a few, but partial body parts, you can see the hair, muscles, you can kind of tell it, but you would think with all the game cameras out there all over the place that, people that aren't even into Bigfoot, just hunters or people, security cameras. I just always thought there'd be more, I'm like, oh, okay, especially all these security cameras, like on porches, doorknob cameras. They pick up, I've seen a lot of paranormal stuff on those, but not Sasquatch related. But they could sense them. Who knows? Why don't they trigger those,
Mm-hmm.
If these things come around and slap people's houses, look in the windows, you'd think there'd be more of that.
I wonder, like again, like how many people are just have that evidence and don't want people on their property though too. I have a picture of a Bigfoot, but I'm not putting it out there because I don't want to be that guy, and I don't want all of people like us, you and me out there going, well, where is your house?
Right.
Yeah.
That's what people don't want. All the researchers like us going up there and finding a patch of woods up the road, and staking.
Yeah. They don't want us weirdos hanging around. They got Bigfoot. That's enough.
Right. I've heard that too, that there's some really good pictures out there, but people will not turn them in. One of them was British Columbia. not long ago, and supposedly there's a small town that they literally come right on the edge of town, and some people were just hanging outside a store right off a mountain, and supposedly four of them, and it's crystal clear, four different sizes and crystal clear. But the guy, I know some people that have been trying to get the guy to release it, and I obviously haven't seen it, but supposedly it's the most convincing and proof, most convincing proof out there of, as far as recent. Four of them, broad daylight, clear as day, and these things just go about their business like they're not even there. That's what a lot of people in this town say. Like, they're more than just a road crossing. You'll see them. You know, you take a ride to the store, you'll see one. You know, they're that common.
But now modern day with the technology and AI and all that stuff, you put out a picture like that. Like, let's say Steve has this picture that you're talking about with the four pictures, right? Or the four Bigfoot, and clearest picture you ever saw. So Steve doesn't want his name associated with this picture. So he posts it, he gives it to you or me and says, here, just put it out there anonymously. Well, as soon as one of us says, okay, well, this gentleman gave me this picture from a undisclosed location, but look, here's proof. And everyone's go, great. That's a great AI photo.
Right.
Because there's no reason it's real. No chance. You can't tell me where it came from. You can't tell me the story. Now you just made an AI photo. And even if you had the most clearest video, the clearest picture, people are still going to write it right off. So
yeah, that's the hard thing about pictures now and video. That's why, like, some of those sounds, I'd love to get that. Those you can't. Those are tough to fake. Like the snap branches in the back, and these people know nothing about it. They don't know anything about Bigfoot. They think it's a Hollywood. It's a joke, which most people do. It's just a joke, right? Or as like you said earlier, there's just one of them. Boy, that guy gets around, right?
He's been around since '67. He's got to be getting pretty old, though, Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
She's got to be getting pretty old, I guess.
Yeah, anything could be. That's why it's getting harder and harder with all the fake stuff out there to sift through and get to the legitimate stuff. Which in my book, there's plenty. There's some really good videos out there over the years. That it just not going to make the news. All it's going to do is go on a DVD or a podcast, or it should be on CNN. Like, look what was filmed and captured. This is heading towards 60 years now. Like, just reveal it. They revealed the UFOs. People deal with it. People don't even care. It didn't faze people. And all the Navy videos of the UFOs, they pretty much telling you they're out there. Military.
Yep.
So if they just do that with this, and people can deal with it, people maybe respect the environment a little more. If these things can live by our side, close to us, don't need anything from us, really. And I think people are mature enough, the world's mature enough now to like, look, these things are out there.
Absolutely. I think that is a great place to leave it here, man. I appreciate it so much. Where can people find you? I know we didn't even get into talking about Squatchachusetts. You work with an organization out there, and you guys take people out and teach people a lot about Bigfooting and what to look for, what not to do in the woods and stuff. You want to talk briefly about Squatchachusetts and then where people can find you and how to get involved in that?
Sure. Right now, we just have a Facebook page. We have a website under construction, should be coming up soon.
Okay.
Mostly our Facebook group. We also do stuff for the BFRO out of Massachusetts reports. I'm out there, just mostly Facebook, and I do a lot of these shows. But anyone in this area that wants to get in touch, either my email or Facebook group, Squatchachusetts. And email is dmcc4595 @gmail.com. if anyone ever wants to get in touch or reach me.
Very cool. And as I said, this interview is pre-recorded today. So again, if you're commenting or asking questions, I apologize. We are not live in studio. We are pre-recorded. So Dave, I'd like to throw out to you as well. If before this airs, if you got that website up, shoot it over to me and I'll throw it in the show notes for everyone that's listening. So if it's not in the show notes and you see this episode, it's not up yet, but hopefully you guys can get that up and running. And then by the time this airs, we can share that as well too. And I'll put all the other stuff in the show notes for everyone listening.
Also, I didn't think of it earlier. I can send you some pictures before you do air it of the size of the section of tree that come down.
Okay.
If you just show those, just to give you an idea of what got broken.
Sure. Yeah, we can throw those in the show notes as well.
And you can tell it's not a dead tree.
Yeah.
Was the important part. You can tell it's a nice, healthy tree. But I really appreciate you having me on and being able to share that.
Absolutely, man. Yeah, definitely keep in touch. Love to have you back because there's so much more. I know you can talk about like the Bridgewater Triangle and all your research there and stuff. So yeah, we'll be in touch. We'll definitely have to have you back on the show again.
Excellent. I really appreciate it. And thank you.
Absolutely, man. You take care.
You too. Thanks again.
Yep.
A pleasure.
It definitely was. All right, guys, that is our show for this week. I want to thank you all for watching and listening. Make sure that you guys like, share, and subscribe to all things here on the Untold Radio Network. And this show is pre-recorded way far in advance because it's slated to air Labor Day if all things work out. So we are filming in advance for this. So I don't know who's coming up next week. I don't know who's going to be on the paranormal spectrum this week. It's going to be a surprise for you guys out there listening. So you're just going to have to tune in on next Monday and Thursday and find out. So until then, guys, I'll see you on the edge.